The wasteland is quiet, but it is not peaceful. The wind moves through broken buildings like it remembers what stood here before. Dust covers old roads where no footsteps remain. Rusted cars sit frozen in time, doors open, secrets still inside. Far away, the shape of a ruined city cuts into the sky, burned and empty. This is the world now. Not dead, just waiting. Waiting to see who will rise and who will disappear forever deep underground. Metal halls stretch on without sound, vault walls are clean, but they feel cold. Like they are hiding something, lights flicker, screens glow with old messages no one was meant to see. These vaults were built to save humanity. Or at least that is what everyone was told, but the truth was never meant to stay buried this long. Every locked door, every sealed room, carries a lie that shaped the world above, outside. The sun rises over the wasteland, painting everything in soft gold. For a moment, it almost looks beautiful. Then the silence breaks, a distant gunshot echoes. A siren cries and fades. Something is moving out there, someone is watching. Survival is no longer about hiding, it is about choosing where you stand. People are no longer asking how the world ended, they are asking who caused it and why. Old rules no longer matter. Kindness can get you killed, trust can destroy you. Every choice leaves a mark, and those marks never fade. The wasteland remembers everything. A figure walks alone across cracked earth, carrying more than weapons. They carry regret. Another stands behind steel walls, believing power means safety somewhere else. A decision is made that will change everything. Lines are being drawn, not on maps, but in blood. This season is not about rebuilding what was lost. It is about facing what was hidden. The past is no longer silent. The vaults are opening. The wasteland is waking up. And once the truth comes out, there is no going back. The world after the vault doors opened is not what anyone expected. Survival did not bring peace. It brought exposure. Secrets that were protected by steel and silence are now scattered across the wasteland. Every step forward uncovers something broken, something unfinished. The land is full of reminders that the past never truly stayed buried, it waited. Communities that once held together by fear or hope are now divided by truth. Some people cling to old rules, believing order can still be rebuilt. Others have learned that rules only exist for those without power. Settlements rise from scrap and fall just as fast. Flags change, leaders disappear, trust is traded like currency, valuable but rare. No one knows who will turn on them next. And that uncertainty is more dangerous than radiation. The vaults were supposed to be safe havens, symbols of humanity's future. Now they are symbols of betrayal. Stories spread across the wasteland, stories of experiments, lies, and choices made without consent. Some refuse to believe them, others feel the weight of every hidden truth. The vaults did not just protect people from the world above, they shaped them, controlled them, and broke them in ways that are only now becoming clear. Above ground, the wasteland reacts. Raiders organize. Old enemies become allies when fear outweighs hate. Technology once thought lost is recovered, repaired, and weaponized. Power armor walks again. Not as a relic, but as a threat. Guns fire over land once silent. Every sound carries warning. Someone is always listening. There are those who believe the future belongs to strength. They gather followers, promise safety, and demand loyalty. Their words sound hopeful, but their actions tell another story. Control is dressed as protection. Fear is sold as order, and people follow not because they trust, but because they are tired of running. Others move quietly, watching from the shadows. They collect information instead of weapons. They know that knowledge is more powerful than bullets. Every terminal unlocked, every old tape recovered, brings them closer to understanding how the world truly fell. But knowing the truth does not make survival easier, it makes it heavier. The wasteland is no longer a place of random chaos. Patterns are forming, forces are moving with purpose. What once felt like scattered survival now feels like the start of something larger. A conflict that has been building since before the bombs fell. The lines between right and wrong blur as everyone believes they are justified. The past is no longer just memory, it is active. It shapes every decision, every betrayal, every act of mercy. People are learning that surviving the end of the world was only the first test. Living with what comes after may be worse. Nothing is stable, nothing is safe. And the longer the truth stays in the open, the more dangerous the world becomes. Paths that once crossed are now pulling apart. Survival changes people, but what comes after survival changes them even more. The wasteland does not reward who you were. It only cares about who you are willing to become. Every character walks forward carrying different scars, shaped by the choices they made and the ones forced upon them. Some move with purpose. Hardened by loss, their eyes no longer search for hope, only outcomes. They have learned that hesitation is weakness and mercy is a risk. Every encounter is treated like a threat. Every stranger is measured by what they might take. Trust is no longer given, it must be proven. And even then, it is fragile. Others struggle with what they've done to stay alive. Faces from the past return in quiet moments, decisions replay. In their minds, when the world finally goes still, they question whether survival was worth the cost, whether holding on to their humanity made them weaker, or if losing it made them something worse. In a world that demands cruelty, doubt becomes its own burden. Power changes hands quickly now. Those who once followed are stepping forward, not because they want to lead, but because no one else will. Authority in the wasteland does not come from titles, it comes from fear, respect, and the ability to act without regret. Every leader is one mistake away from collapse. Every promise is temporary. Loyalty is tested daily. Alliances are formed out of need, not belief. People stand side by side knowing they may turn on each other tomorrow. Shared enemies create short peace, but long memories keep wounds open. Betrayal is expected. Forgiveness is rare. Some characters are hunted not for what they've done, but for what they know. Information has become dangerous. Truth travels fast, and not everyone wants it to spread. Those carrying it must stay moving, always watching their backs. Every shadow feels closer. Every sound feels intentional. Others hide behind strength and symbols. Armor, weapons, ranks, and structure give them confidence. But beneath it all is fear, the fear that without control, everything will fall apart again. They believe order must be forced, no matter the cost. To them, the wasteland cannot be saved, only ruled. There are also those who refuse to choose sides. They walk the edges, helping when they can, disappearing before consequences arrive. They believe survival does not have to mean domination, but the wasteland is shrinking, and neutral ground is disappearing fast. Soon, everyone will be forced to stand somewhere. Each path leads toward the same truth. No one is untouched. The world has stripped away comfort, certainty, and excuses. What remains is choice: who to protect, who to sacrifice, what lines to cross, and which ones still matter. As these paths drift further apart, the tension grows. The wasteland is no longer just a place people exist in, it is a test. And not everyone will pass it the same way. The balance that once kept the wasteland from tearing itself apart is gone. What remains is pressure, building quietly, waiting for the moment it finally breaks. Small conflicts no longer stay small. Every fight sends a message. Every victory invites retaliation. What began as survival has grown into something closer. War. Weapons are no longer used only to defend, they are used to send warnings. Settlements burn not for resources, but to make examples. Roads that were once ignored are now guarded. Movement is watched. Names are remembered. The wasteland is learning how to organize, and that makes it far more dangerous than chaos ever was. Technology from the old world resurfaces piece by piece. Some see it as hope. Others see it as control waiting to happen again. Machines power lights, weapons, and walls, but they also revive old mistakes. The past repeats itself quietly, hidden behind progress. Those who control this technology believe they control the future. They are willing to crush anyone who threatens that belief. Fear spreads faster than radiation. Rumors travel from camp to camp, growing darker with each retelling. Stories of armies forming, of vault doors opening that were never meant to be unlocked, of decisions made long ago finally reaching their consequences. People prepare for something they cannot see, only feel: a shift, a coming storm. Not everyone wants conflict, but avoiding it is becoming impossible. Neutral ground disappears. Silence is seen as weakness. Standing aside is treated as opposition. The wasteland demands participation, whether people are ready or not. Survival now means choosing a side, even if that side costs everything else. In the middle of it all are moments of quiet resistance, small acts of kindness that go unnoticed. A warning whispered at the right time, a door left unlocked, a life spared. These moments don't change the world, but they remind people what they are fighting to keep. Humanity survives in fragments, fragile but stubborn. The closer the world moves toward open conflict, the harder it becomes to recognize right from wrong. Justifications replace morals. Everyone believes they are preventing something worse. Everyone believes they are doing what must be done. The wasteland doesn't judge those choices, it only records the outcome. As forces collide and secrets surface, one truth becomes impossible to ignore: the end of the world was only the beginning. What follows is shaped by those still standing, and by the choices they make when everything is at stake. There will be no clean victories, no perfect endings, only consequences that echo long after the dust settles. The season moves toward a breaking point where silence will no longer hold. When it comes, the wasteland will not care who was right. It will only remember who survived and what they became in the process. Beneath the cracked earth and the scorched skies, the vaults hold secrets that were never meant to be discovered. Doors that have been closed for decades hide more than just supplies or survivors, they hide truths that could change everything about the wasteland above. Each corridor carries whispers of experiments, decisions made in silence, and lives shaped without consent. The deeper you go, the heavier the air feels, as though the steel itself remembers the choices of those who built it. Some vaults are abandoned, yet their emptiness tells a story louder than any voice could. Rusted beds, flickering terminals, and faded notes speak of people who once believed they were safe, but safety was an illusion. The experiments that began behind these walls continue to influence the world outside. Mutated creatures, hidden agendas, and data once locked away are slowly resurfacing, creeping into the lives of those who thought the worst was over. Others' vaults are still occupied, but not in the way anyone expects. Shadows move through halls with calculated precision. Figures appear only in glimpses, never fully revealing themselves. They watch, they wait. They guard not just their own survival but the knowledge that could tilt the balance of power in the wasteland. Every door they close, every corridor they patrol holds a question. What is too dangerous to let out? The vaults themselves seem to pulse with secrets. Rooms that were once common areas are now laboratories, observation points, or restricted zones. Lights flicker in sequences that make no sense to anyone outside. Sometimes voices come through old intercoms, distorted, half-remembered, echoing orders or warnings from decades past. These are not just relics, they are tools, traps, and keys for those who find them. Understanding the vaults is more than curiosity. It is survival. Explorers who venture too far often do not return, and those who do speak only in fragments. One talks of a chamber filled with screens that show the lives of everyone above ground. Another whispers of a test still running even decades later, with results that could destroy or elevate entire communities. The vaults are alive in a way the wasteland does not understand. They react, record, and influence. They are the ghosts of humanity's past, shaping the present and threatening the future. Among these secrets, some truths are obvious, while others lie hidden in plain sight. Symbols etched into walls, coded messages in old terminals, and experimental equipment that no one knows how to use all point toward something larger. Something that links the fates of those above to the actions of those below. The vaults were not simply shelters, they were laboratories for human will, for control, for testing how far people could be pushed when everything they know is stripped away. And now, after years of silence, the barriers are weakening. Doors that should remain sealed are being forced open. Information once buried is leaking. The vaults are no longer just underground, they are reaching out into the wasteland, touching lives in ways that are impossible to ignore. Every choice made above is being measured below. Every movement is anticipated. The line between observer and participant is fading. The world above is changing, but it is the vaults that hold the power to change it forever. They are more than shelters. They are reminders that the past is not dead. They carry the weight of what humans can create and what they can destroy. In these steel halls, morality, survival, and ambition intersect, and the consequences of opening one door can ripple across the wasteland for generations. Those who dare to explore, to uncover, to question face more than danger, they face revelation. The vaults are a mirror reflecting humanity's greatest hopes and darkest impulses. And as the secrets emerge, the wasteland itself will never be the same. Every hidden chamber, every encrypted terminal, every shadowed hallway holds a choice: to ignore the truth and survive, or to confront it and risk everything. The wasteland is no longer a place where survival is simple. Every choice carries weight, and every action echoes far beyond the moment it is made. People are learning that mercy can be as dangerous as cruelty, that compassion can put someone at the edge of a blade. Each decision is a test, not just of strength, but of character. The line between right and wrong has blurred so much that even those with the purest intentions hesitate before acting. Some cling to their humanity, sparing lives even when it seems foolish. They stop to help the wounded, shield the weak, or speak the truth when deception would be easier. In doing so, they risk everything. Raiders, mutants, and rival survivors do not forgive kindness. A single act of mercy can be exploited, turned against the giver, leaving them vulnerable in a world that no longer rewards the gentle. Yet, even in the harshest landscapes, these choices define them. They are reminders that the human spirit can endure, even when the environment itself seems determined to crush it. Others embrace brutality, believing that survival demands it. They strike first, act without hesitation, and eliminate threats before they even appear. Fear becomes their weapon, violence their language. To them, mercy is weakness and hesitation is death. Every action is calculated to maintain power, to intimidate, to control. They know that the wasteland respects only one thing: dominance, and so they take it. one act of ruthlessness at a time. But even they are not immune to consequences. Every choice made in blood leaves a mark on the soul, a weight that does not fade with time. Conflict is no longer only external, moral battles rage within every survivor. The person who once would have spared a life now wonders if hesitation could mean death. The one who ruled through fear questions if their actions are producing loyalty or only more hatred. Decisions that once seemed clear now fracture into endless possibilities, each path carrying a cost that cannot be measured in days or months, only in lives. The Wasteland tests not just strength but conscience, forcing every survivor to decide what they are willing to become. In towns, settlements, and hidden camps, these choices play out every day. A leader must decide whether to risk lives for a strategic gain. A wanderer must choose between helping strangers or preserving their own safety. Families torn apart by past betrayals must decide if forgiveness is worth the risk, or if vengeance will define their future. Every action, every choice, ripples outward, creating consequences far beyond the immediate moment. Sometimes, the weight of these decisions drives people to isolation. Some walk alone, unable to reconcile the person they were with the person the wasteland demands they be. They carry guilt and regret like armor, protecting themselves from a world that cannot stop pushing forward. Others lash out, making decisions in anger or desperation, believing that the wasteland only understands violence. Yet even in isolation or aggression, the moral question persists: what does it mean to survive without losing yourself entirely? The wasteland has no absolutes. Every survivor is forced to confront their own limits, their own boundaries. Acts of mercy can save or doom. Acts of violence can protect or destroy. The consequences are immediate, but the lessons come slowly, and as alliances shift, enemies rise, and secrets are revealed. Each choice becomes more critical, more defining. The world watches silently and measures not just what is done, but why it is done. This season, the question is no longer who will survive, but what they will become in the process. Will they cling to compassion, even if it puts them at risk? Will they embrace brutality, even if it leaves them hollow? Every decision shapes the future of the wasteland, and no one is exempt from the consequences. In a world without rules, morality becomes the most dangerous weapon of all. Choices define not just the present, but the story that will echo through the ruins long after the dust settles.